So we are getting excited for Thanksgiving coming up in, what, about 10 days?
Yes.
And we're going to have the biggest crowd we've ever had for Thanksgiving, right? How many people are we going to have, we figured?
Around 30.
30 people, yeah. My brother is coming from Dallas, Texas, along with all of his kids, with our, 3 of our kids now married and grandkids and everything. We're going to have about 30 people. So
we're excited.
Yeah, we've never cooked for that many. So we're starting, we really like to do some unique recipes for Thanksgiving. We shared a few days ago our the chili cranberry pine nut stuffing that I do, and Lisa's still trying to get on board to do her stuffing. What is that one?
It is just a stovetop stuffing with, it's just Thrivealized. So it's super simple, and in the next day or two, I will come on and do it. All
right. So if you like this video and you like these videos we're doing, we'd really appreciate it if you go ahead and just like, make comments, share it to your timeline. If you'd like to share this, we'd really appreciate that. We will post, you don't need to worry about writing down the recipe because we will post the recipe. This is actually, every single year we just tweak this a little bit. I grew up with sweet potato pie or sweet potato casserole in our family, and it's a family favorite. My mom would make it with just kind of sweet potato. She'd use the canned sweet potatoes. And some brown sugar, a little butter, a little cinnamon, and marshmallows on top, and that was it.
And in the Easton family, we did not grow up with sweet potatoes, so I'm still getting used to sweet potatoes.
But do you like mine?
I like yours. I'm getting used. Every year I have a bite of his, and so, but potatoes usually don't have sugar, so that's the factor that I'm getting used to.
Well, so
anyway,
it's a little twist on it, but. It's, a lot of people who try this sweet potato, I used to call it a casserole, but I feel like it's too good for a casserole. Casserole just doesn't do it justice, so we're now calling it the sweet potato souffle. Because it's kind of light and airy. Okay, so it's a souffle, it's not a casserole. Not a pie, not a casserole, it's a souffle.
All right.
But every year, people try this who say they don't like sweet potato casserole or whatever Thanksgiving, and they like it.
They do.
People like it. So we've kind of tweaked over there. This year, we're doing a couple little tweaks on it. So I've never quite done this recipe before. So we'll kind of, I kind of guesstimated what quantities we would need. But once we do this, we'll fine tune it, and then we'll post the very accurate recipe here on Facebook. So anyway, let's get going. So. Want to start out, the first thing, of course, you need is sweet potatoes. So Thrive just came out with freeze-dried sweet potatoes. Now, the wonderful thing about these, you can see there in the can, is they're just sweet potatoes. If you look on the ingredients right there, what does that say? It says sweet potatoes, right? There's nothing else in it. That's the cool thing about this freeze-drying process is it doesn't take additives or preservatives or anything. Just the process, preserves them, so you don't need anything else.
They're great for snacking.
Yeah, they'll keep for 25 years before you open them, and then once you open them, about 1 to 2 years, depending on your climate. So what I did with these, over the years, I've always used just whole. I never used the canned sweet potatoes, but I've always used.
As you bake the sweet potatoes.
Bake the sweet potatoes, which takes about an hour and a half. They get all gooey. They make a mess.
And
you got to get them out. You got to scoop everything out. You got to mash them. So I decided this year I'm going to try the Thrive ones. So what I did is I just boiled these for about 10 minutes in water, and then I strained off the water. And that's where we are right now. They're raw, they're uncooked. Now after boiling them for 10 minutes, they're cooked. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a cube of butter in here. I'm going to grab that fork right over there. And Lisa's going to help with the topping we're going to do on it. So if you want to just get the that going, heating up. Don't start yet.
Oh.
Just
just move it over here.
Move it over there. Get the
pan hot.
The pan hot. So here I'm just mixing in that butter, and because I just took these off the stove and strained the water, they're hot. All that butter is just melting, and the sweet potatoes are really easy to mash up. You can use a blender or something, but you don't really need to. You can just mash these just with a fork. Getting it nice and creamy. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some sugar. So I'm going to add a third of a cup of sugar.
Brown sugar.
Brown sugar. Down in there, if I can get it out. There it is. And you want to do these two things while it's hot so that they melt into this. Get that mixing in. Then I'm going to do a teaspoon of cinnamon. And a teaspoon of vanilla.
You want me to get started on the topping over here or not yet?
No, hang on.
Okay.
Just get the pan warmed up. Okay, so there's that all coming in. And you can kind of adjust this to your taste. If you like it a little sweeter, a little more cinnamon. But
It smells good.
yeah, it's going to smell good. And it doesn't have to be overly sweet because we're going to do a topping of pecans and marshmallows. So all you need is it just be a little bit sweet for the actual souffle filling. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of salt, about a half teaspoon of salt. I'm going to add about a half a cup of heavy whipping cream. This makes it nice and smooth.
Souffle-ish.
Now, we're going to add 4 eggs. You can add regular eggs, but we're just going to use Thrive eggs. I've got there the measurements for 4 eggs. So it's a half a cup of our scrambled egg mix and about 3/4 of a cup of water. So go ahead and put that in there.
Maybe a little whisk.
So there you can see it's taken all that up. And you can see after mixing everything in, these sweet potatoes are going to be nice and mixed up. And I actually don't mind if they're a little bit chunky, but you can mix them as much as you want. Okay, throw that egg mix in there. And that is it for the filling. It's as simple as that.
That is easy.
So now I'm going to move the camera over here, and Lisa's going to make the topping. So what we're going to do is, can you see that? You start out with a half a cube of butter and just get it melting in that pan. And then throw the pecans in there. I just chopped up about a cup of pecans. Mix that all in there.
That smells good. I have a brother-in-law who loves pecan pie. And this smells like pecan pie right now.
Yeah,
So
we're
butter-
basically making kind of a little praline mixture for the top.
So is this pralines or pecans?
Well, it's pecans, but you're going to make it kind of a candied pecan.
Okay, so the sugar goes
So
next?
brown sugar. Yeah, this stuff, when they say packed, it really packed.
Get the guy out. All right.
Okay, now you're just going to start adding that flour. And you can
Flour
use,
or-
yes, this self-rising flour. You can use, don't put all of
I
it,
thought
just
it
a
was
little.
powdered sugar.
Just a little bit at a time. You can use self-rising cake flour, or you can make your own self-rising cake flour. This calls for a half a cup of flour, so a half a cup of flour and about 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder will make the equivalent of a self-rising cake flour.
They just have that at the grocery store, the cake flour.
Yeah, but you can make your own. Just add a little baking powder into it. And I think that's going to probably be good. You're not going to need
Yeah,
to
it'd
do
be
all
too
of
dry
this.
if it-
When we're cooking for our 30 and making a big, huge batch of this, we might use all of that. But for now, I think that's going to be good.
Yeah.
Let's let that cook for a couple of minutes. Just keep cooking it there until it. I'm going to move the camera back over here now, and I'm going to go with this. So I'm ready now to pour this into the. I've already greased this, and I'm just going to pour this in. and that the between the eggs in there and the cream, it seems a little runny now, but it's gonna bake up and rise a little bit and be really, really good. So there's that.
Do you want this?
So maybe just a little more of the flour just to firm that up a little bit. And then we're gonna finish it off with some marshmallows. All right, that's looking pretty good now.
It's supposed to be super thick.
Yeah, you want to add enough flour. Why don't you bring it over and just show the camera. Keep adding the flour until it kind of starts to get dry and soaks up the butter and the
It's like a crumble almost.
and yeah, and turns into just a crumble. So let's try. It's a little hot. I would normally probably just wait, kind of sprinkle it over with my fingers. Why don't I grab a spoon so I can just kind of spoon this. Wait. Move around over here so I can just. So I just want to just kind of get this on the top. It's really hot, so normally you would just wait for it to cool. But I'm going to just get it all, and you just want to kind of cover the top with that mixture. Get it everywhere so that in every scoop or every serving you're getting some of this deliciousness. I think that's pretty good. Just enough to cover everything. Okay, then you just want to take the mini marshmallows and put enough on there to cover everything. You want a pretty thick coating of these, because once they start melting, you just want it to be pretty and to not see any of the souffle through this. So I'm just going to put enough to have maybe like a ½ inch thick. Well, there goes one for the dog. There we go. So there it is, and we're gonna bake it now. What I do is I start it out on the lower rack and on 325 and bake it for about 30 minutes, and then raise it to the top rack and go about another 10 minutes, 10 or 15, until these are golden brown. And it's gonna be light and fluffy and airy and sweet, and you'll love this one. So really recommend you give this one a try.